Back to work on the car again. This time I'm just working on the burlap because this is time consuming, and I don't know, I just don't feel like getting under the car today. And I stitched this on the ends too. So it's all stitched. This piece is ready to start feeding the wires through there. You can see the piping that kind of goes through. And I folded this over and stitched it on the bottom of the front seat. And I think you can see where these wires have pulled. But that was folded over. But I'm going to fold it over and run some stitching up and down here like I did on the other side. But I already stitched it here. There's still enough room to fold it over to stitch that in. That way, you know, it won't come apart on me. Next, I got to cut this piece, and this has got a wire in it. So I think I'm going to put the wire in, fold it over with the wire in it, and stitch it with the wire in it. But I'm going to measure from there to there. This is 3 inches from here to here. So that's probably a little less than 3 inches, but we'll get a piece cut and fit. I swear this taking out hog rings has been the most time-consuming part. But anyway, I got this off, and you can see the wire is bent over, and it's in like a paper. So I am definitely going to stitch this in. And then I'm going to bend them over, and then I'm going to run a little stitch in there. So I don't want to hit the wire with the needle, but I want to get this all stitched together. So I'm going to cut this. Well, I'm going to see if I can pull it out of the burlap first. If I can, I'll just cut it, and then I got my new piece right here. Now you can see what this stuff looks like, and there's a little wire inside of it so that, you know, the hog rings won't pull a burlap apart. And I need to sharpen my scissors. I got a pretty decent sharpener, and I think I'm going to take them down to the basement and sharpen them. It only cuts good to about there, and from here on it doesn't cut that great, so we're going to give them a sharpen. Got a worn out 80 belt on the sander, and you can see a little bit of an angle there. Looks pretty good. Give them a try and see if I need to sharpen them more or not. Now my scissors cut right to the tip, see? That's what you want when your scissors are sharp, is to go right to the tip. So yeah, I just take them apart. You buy these old school scissors. I got these in an estate sale. And then it's, can't read the name on it. It looks like it says Clean Cut. It's spelled with a K. 11.3C 8-inch Deluxe USA, it says on it. But yeah, these are the scissors I keep my toolbox in the garage. I cut sandpaper, I cut everything with these, so they get dull. I think I paid $1 for them in an estate sale, and I sharpened them once before, but because I cut sandpaper and everything else under the sun with it, they dull. So anyway, it's nice and sharp now, the pair of scissors, so I can cut stuff with it right to the tip. You know, I like to be able to cut right to the very tip of the scissors. Anyway, let me get this, try and stitch this up. I got my steel rule here so we can make sure that thing was a 30 smaller than a 3 inches, so I don't think I need to worry about getting it exact. We'll just get it together here. I ended up getting a little wider piece here so I could stitch it over, and then I'll stitch this over with it 3 inches, and then I'll just cut the excess off if necessary. But this is kind of like doing piping. Got to I don't want to hit the wire with the needle, so I kind of gotta go slow here. All right, you get the picture of what I'm doing here, so I'm not going to video a lot of it, and I'm just going to get this done up. Well, I'm getting close to where I'm ready to bore holes, and I was just measuring these. Tell you what, I got them pretty much all exact. They're both 2.5 inches from the top here, and I think that's pretty good for just taping these underneath, you know, just to kind of get an idea. And I marked on the backrest of the back seat because I got to pull that out to bolt these in, and so I don't see all these all the time. I'll just tuck them in behind, and then if somebody needs them, they can just pull them out, and then when I'm done, I can just shove them back in behind the seat, or I might just leave them laying out there. They really don't look that bad. You know, it's nice having seat belts in the car. But, you know, I could always just kind of roll them up or something, I don't know. But anyway, that's what it's going to look like in the back seat. Yeah, I think there will be good places. That's where the back seat mounts in. But yeah, I think we'll be able to bolt it. I'm gonna, you can see there's like a brace or something there. Actually, no, that's not a brace. This is part of the, well, you can't see under there. But anyway, I'm gonna give this a quick vacuum. Well, maybe after I drill the holes, I'll vacuum it, but kind of see which way the belts will, if I want to bolt it there, I might put it, I don't know. I'm not pulling the backrest out, but we'll figure out how to bolt it. Maybe I will have to pull a backrest free so I can get these up in there. Anyway, I'll look underneath the car where I can bolt them, but first I'm going to vacuum this out so I don't get dirt everywhere. It's not too bad, but we're going to give it a quick vacuum. Yeah, the back seat needs cleaning too, and it's hardly ever even sat in. But yeah, the back seat, the burlap and everything looks pretty good. Everything looks good with the back seat. And the back seat's actually comfortable. One belt installed, and I knew this. Oh, and I got those drilled, but I can't. I gotta jack the front of the car up. I just can't get under there, and I'll need somebody to turn the bolt while I hold the nut in a box end wrench, so I can't get my hand up there very well. But got the nut washers ready to go on, and anyway, so I put this on with the bolt out, and the bolt doesn't hit the backrest of the seat, but I'm going to cut the extra off anyway, just so it looks a little neater. But it comes through the wheel tub, so I'll just paint that black so it's not visible. And then the other ones I think will, I don't know, you can see where I have them marked out. I'm going to drill, I've been drilling a little hole and then a 7/16 hole for the bolts, but that gives me an idea, you know, so I can fix a little hole and relocate things if I need to. Or if I drill a big hole, it's a lot harder to fix. And these I have these big flat washers on each side. I have them under the carpet, and I'll put them under the floor pan too. The rear ones didn't come with enough to put them on both sides, so I'm just putting them on the outside. All right, let me get the center belts. I'm just going to work my way across. I measured them out so they're the same as the front, so it all looks good. And let me get to it here. That's where the second one's going. I already drilled the pilot hole, and it looks good, and I'm going to just continue on. I was taking this in and out as I was checking them, but I'm just going to leave it out now. That looks pretty good too. See a little rust on the springs. They're not as shiny as the front seat ones because, you know, they're, I don't know why, but they're not. But anyway, I'm going to continue, and like I say, I'm putting the bolts through this way because it just looks neater from underneath and you don't see any of this. And I'll just whack these off, maybe mess the threads up a little bit so they don't peen them or something, so they don't, you know, even with the lock washer, so they don't come loose. Yeah, we've had absolutely phenomenal weather. I'm kind of looking forward to getting the car out cruising, so I'm going to start working on it as I can. But I had my visit with the urologist today, and my PSA today was 0.008, which the doctor said is basically undetectable. So he was really super happy, and I was too. So I don't have to go back until September. He's going to do it out 4 months, and then he said we'll see how you go. Maybe we'll do it out 6 months. It's been over 2 years since I've had my surgery, 2 years ago, mid-March. And so yeah, it's been a year and month and a half. And I did radiation last year, August and September. So things are going good, thankfully. But anyway, let me get back to getting this thing together so I can use it to do some cruising. I'm really happy the rear seat belts are going in quick and easy, and I think the retractors will be easy to put in. The only thing I'm going to need help with is those center bolts. I'll need somebody to turn the bolt up here while I put the nut and washer on in a box end wrench, taped in a box end wrench from underneath. It's really, the exhaust pipe is there. It's between the frame and the floor pan, and the exhaust pipe runs through there. So it's just kind of a hard spot to get to. But anyway, let me finish mounting these, and then I'll show you once they're all in. All the seat belts are installed. I'm going to put the back seat back in, and I'll show you. This one's on the wheel tub. I'm going to paint those black so they don't show up like a sore thumb. But yeah, I'm going to go wash my hands and put the seat back in. You can kind of see what it looks like without the seat in there if you wish. See, there's the exhaust, and there's the, so it's right behind the muffler kind of. Yeah, what a fun. So I was changing these. This is the top one here, is the one that was broken. And I'm gonna slide this rubber down a little bit. I think they do that to prevent it from rattling, these bars, and they can twist independent of one another. But yeah, I thought I was videoing installing it, and then I realized somehow I'd changed the settings on my camera to where it defaulted to photo. So I just got some useless photos. But to change these, to get them back, I just used a piece of black iron pipe that fit over that, and then I can lift them up and out. And I had to take this one out to get this one in, because this one sits above the other one. And these little brackets go over. I'll put these back on in a minute. I just wanted to, these go on there. Kind of hides all that stuff. But in order to get, see how it's a slot there, and every time I go to get on the second one, it will pop out. So I just took a big clamp and kind of clamped it down good there. Then I was able to take my pipe and pull it up into this one without it popping out of that groove there. So that's all installed. Sorry I didn't. And I fixed a spot on the floor pan. And again, the camera just took a couple photos. I do have some photos though, so maybe I'll put a photo or two up. But as you remember, when I was taking the car apart, I was tapping here and getting a totally different sound here. Well, where the sheet metal floor pan butted up against the brace where the seat bolts to was, that joint was completely rotted and broken the full length. So I cut it out right to the sill here, to the right behind in here. Cut out a piece about so big. And then I was hammering out over the brace, and the brace was a little ratted out, so I made new bits and welded up the brace, and I welded new sheet metal in here, and that's not going anywhere now. That's as solid as a rock. And seat belt, I don't know if this was in the video or not. These are all installed and work. So basically I'm down to, and as you just saw, I just put the trunk torsion rods in. This is the one I welded just so I could operate the trunk so you can kind of see where it broke. But the problem is you lose your spring tension. So anyway, I got an extra for one side. This one's really garbage. And I got the burlap and all the backrest completely done. So I'm going to start on replacing that stuff that hog rings down on the seat cover. It's stitched to fabric so I can stitch new on. The front seat, the bottom front here, was stitched to the vinyl. And it's stitched right to the edge, as you can see. So if I cut that off, that stuff would be up here. Because if you try and restitch in vinyl, the vinyl just pulls apart and tears, and you know, it doesn't hold up. So I just left the original on the front side of the front seat. Anything that was stitched to vinyl, I left alone. But the back seat where that stuff is plenty of vinyl folds underneath where I need to stitch it so I can cut, you know, an 1/8 inch off for where the stitching was, and it still won't be visible. And the other part's on fabric, so I can just restitch into that. That should be no problem. So let me get to getting the cover fit and this padded, and then we can go try our seat belts out and go cruising. Looking forward to it. The car looks nice. I really vacuumed it out good and cleaned the interior. I'm going to steam clean the upholstery probably in the next day or two. Get the backrest done, and then I'll steam clean it before I put the two halves together, so you know I don't end up with this dirt line that you can clearly see. I mean, it's evenly dirty. It's not. I'm trying to wear clean clothes when I get in the car, or if I'm dirty, I put a towel on the seat so I don't make a mess of it. But anyway, I'm gonna vacuum the trunk out and take my car cover off and out and clean the trunk out. It's in due need of it. I got to put these little doohickeys back on, and we'll do that. That is where the seat retractor seatbelt bolts in. So really, look at the undercarriage. You really don't see those, which I was kind of hoping you wouldn't, but I just sprayed them anyway, just, you know, to kind of, just so it doesn't stand out like a sore thumb. And the center two rear ones are almost behind the frame. I don't know if I can show them or not. Let me see. There's one, and then the other is over, and I can't see, but it's kind of behind all that right there. But yeah, so they're kind of out of sight. Look at how huge these old car trunks are. You can put an army of people in there. I mean, that goes up in there quite a ways. And my fire extinguisher has been in the car since I purchased it, and I noticed it has a little date code right there that says 1578. And a friend of mine's dad owned a plumbing and heating company in Romeo, and we're outfitting one of his, let's see if I can get that there, one of his new company trucks, and he was having us put fire extinguishers in them, and he gave me this, and I bought the car in March, so it was a 2-month-old fire extinguisher. But yeah, shortly, I think even before I had the car plated, I had that installed in here. Another thing I want to do in the future is stitch some gray vinyl. Here you can see the trunk floor pan. It's in pretty good shape, all the original floor pan. But anyway, it's painted with Rust-Oleum. I took the original mat and cut this, guess I could have vacuumed there a little better. Cut this out to the same, but I never stitched vinyl around the edge. Well, now that I have that walking foot sewing machine, I'm going to do that probably this coming winter, or maybe yet this summer. I mean, I can take the stuff out of the trunk pretty easily. Wow, yeah, I guess I missed a lot vacuuming it out. But anyway, it's a ton cleaner than it was. I might check the air in the spare while the trunk's open, but I'm going to go through my cooler full of goodies and my cleaning stuff. And you can see I have a chair, black and white chair. that I sit in when I go to the cruises. My grandma bought that for me. I had driven this car to Lansing to my grandparents, which was about 100 miles, a 2-hour drive from where I lived, and went to a cruise there. And my grandma says, you need a chair that matches your car, and she picked this up, I think, at Meijer. And God, it had to be the early 80s, and I've had it since then and have been using it to sit in when I go to cruises since. And I also got this, and it's just a little fold-up carry around stool that fits in that thing there. So yeah, that's pretty slick to have too. So if you're out walking and you want to stop and sit, you can. And I've used that a fair amount too. And sometimes if somebody goes with me, I let them sit in that and I'll sit in this or whatever. But anyway, I'm going to blow the dust off the car cover case and scrub the mats, and still going to do a few more things here. That's what the little stool fits into. So it's easy to carry with you if you want to walk and then still sit down when you're at the cruise. So yeah, I kind of like that. It's pretty, I don't sit in it often, but I do use it. It's kind of a neat thing to have, you know, in a 59 Chevy with the 59 Chevy stuff on it. There we go, all nice and clean in here. My 1959 Montgomery Ward cooler, I took that thing with the cleaning stuff and kind of tucked it in there. So that's just kind of, you know, emergency quick fix stuff. There's a fuel pump and a master cylinder rebuild kit and just some odds and ends in there. And then if I take it on a road trip, sometimes I throw a box that has a water pump and a generator, because this has power steering. So if the pump is driven off the generator, so if I need to change the generator, I need one that'll drive a power steering pump. So I carry one of them, and the water pump's unique to the 348. The starter, you know, it's a manual, so I can push start it. Plus I think you could probably, most auto parts probably have something like that on the shelf anyway. But yeah, it's getting there. I'm going to clean the mats up here, scrub them down with some Wesley's bleach white, but there we go. The trunk and the torsion rods are in the trunk, nice and easy to lift up and stays up. And very happy with the progress on the car. Get it done so we can do some cruising here soon. Getting ready to stitch new material at Hog Rings, the backrest cover underneath there. So I'm going to measure from this point right here to where the seat belt comes through this padding as to where I got, and then I'm going to have to figure out how far down under it goes. It's going to be a little bit of a chore because I'm not really sure how far that cover comes down underneath, but you can see clearly, you know, if I measure from that point, that should be a good, hopefully a good reference. And I think on the seat cover you can see where it folds down under here. I think this is going to be where the vinyl and that fabric join is, to where this is, I don't know, I hope. If I mess it up, I'll have to take it out and redo it. But anyway, let me get some measurements here. You can see I took the stitching out of the vinyl on this, and there's plenty of vinyl that goes under the seat. I'm not sure. I think it goes to about there, right in, well, you can't see where I'm pointing, but there, under the seat. So I'm not really sure. Anyway, this, I should have replaced it on the bottom of the front seat, but like I say, the fabric would have come up too far. There wasn't enough vinyl. This one there is. This is what I'm going to use to replace this. So I'm going to get this on the serger and put an edge like this for the wire in it, and then I'll stitch it to the, that was folded over too, so then I'll stitch it to this with that, and then hopefully go install it. Yeah, I had to get the directions out. I couldn't get the bobbin to work right, and then I figured it out. I just got the directions out and read it, so yeah. And then I had to rethread the whole machine after threading the bobbin. I was going to tie it and just pull it through, but that just was a hassle, so I just completely rethreaded it, and I had to refer to that again for that. I've used the machine a fair amount, but I've not had to rethread it. I've rethreaded the bobbin quite a number of times, but it's just been a while. So, and the bobbin goes this way when the line pulls out that way, and it's just the way to orient things. But anyway, let me get to work here. This is kind of what you end up with, a neat, clean edge. And you can see how much it's cutting off from there to there. A little strip right down in here that it's cutting off as it's stitching. And you can see it all the way down here. And it just makes for a neater job. So let me show you how we do this. So I find that if you pull a little bit on the back as you go on the front, it doesn't bunch up. There we go. That's the model number of the machine right there, in case you're interested. Trying to mimic the stitch distance is what we're doing here. And that's adjusted with this knob right here. Well, I thought I was videoing and I guess I wasn't, but anyway, we got the new foam kind of glued on so I can hog ring at the bottom and the sides, and then I'm going to finish the top, and then hopefully we can get the cover on. Alright, so the seat's repadded, new stuff on it, ready for the cover. It looks good here. Let me have the camera so yeah, you can see kind of. Alright, let's put the cover on. That is so much fuller. Oh my god, that's going to be so much more comfortable. Anyway, I got to hog ring it on here, get this wire on, hog ring that on, and then I'm going to pull a base so we can figure out where I got to cut and sew slits here. And I hope I can get this into the sewing machine with that on, as I don't want to take that off again. But I'm going to hog ring everything up here. This hog ring's underneath the back of the front seat, so this is just going to sit until this is assembled, but this has to be hog ringed on first, so that's what I'm going to get to. So the one thing about these belts is these straps are too short to really work, so instead of taking all the seat back apart to stitch on new gray, I'm Gonna leave those, and I'm gonna pull them out a little bit more after I feed some of the belting up, but I'll show you kind of what I'm doing here. I'm making so seats all the way forward. So these are where the belts come out right now, and I'm gonna stuff that up into this area of the seat to where there's nothing in there. And then this belting is gonna come out of the seat. This is gonna be attached to that, and that's actually, I'm going to have it that way around so it comes out of the seat, and then it's going to go through this to, and I've already stitched this, as you can see, and I melted the end with a soldering gun so it wouldn't fray. And I'm going to go down and stitch one of these on. I just was, because I want this way and this one this way, so they're on like that. These are from the seatbelts Martin gave me from his '59 Chevy that he took the seatbelts out because he put in a third and he wanted them all matched. And then I have this, which was originally what came, those front seatbelts, and that's as long as the strap is, and it's not nearly long enough. But I think I can cut this thing off right here, and it has a little cap that goes over where the bolt is. So once that's cut off, you know, I can't push it up there because the plastic's hitting the seat here. But that'll, you know, I'm gonna cut it off somewhere in here, and that'll hide it because all I have is black webbing, and so I'm going to just hide it with this. And the only time you'll ever see this is when the seat's all the way forward, which is going to be never. You can see the retractor. When the seat's back, it's, you know, right here. So you won't see any of this, you know, when I drive the car normally. And it's totally comfortable for passengers back here with this bench seat all the way back. There's still plenty of leg room. These cars have a amazing amount of room, but I don't know, I don't think I could drive the car with the seat all the way forward. I mean, probably hit my taters, would probably be jammed into the steering wheel. Anyway, let me get down and stitch this one up here too, this belt. That's not going to go anywhere, guarantee you. That's what it looks like, and that's holding the camera way down low. And when you're sitting in the seat, this is where my face is about, so you just barely see a tinge of that gray. So that hides the bracket and everything. I kind of like that. So I'm going to do the same to the other side. And the seat's all the way back now. I'm going to run it all the way forward again. And so I can, you know, attach the other side. But yeah, the seat belt is out a little bit more now, so that's good. They were way back in behind the cushion. If I bolted them to the bracket down there, this wasn't even exposed out of here. So there's what it looks like. Yeah, it came out nice. I'm happy with it. And the belts up in the front. I gotta clean the seats yet. I'm gonna steam them, but yeah, that looks really good. And I put these belts in. I measured some other vehicles and looked at how the belts were installed, and most of them, the males were on the outside and one male in the center, and then the females like that. So that's the way I put them together, the way every car I looked at. And most cars are 20 inches 16 or 18 inches, 20 inches, and the big, you know, SUVs and trucks and stuff, because, you know, this thing's a tank. And then there's these belts, with the retractors. Let me put the seat back. The seat moves real easy now. Oh, good Lord. I don't know how anyone could drive the car with the seat all the way up like that. But the seat is more comfortable, no doubt about it. And I don't know if I can do this one-handed or not. There we go, we're buckled in. Got a nice buckle there. Retractor there. Feels much better being buckled into the car. And then just push the button. Let it retract back and you're undone. So there we go. I might hook the battery back up and set the clock, and like I say, I got to vacuum it, or I'm going to vacuum it and steam it. So I'm going to do that before I hook the battery back up, because this is on whenever the front doors are open, and I've had the doors open quite a bit the last few days. So I took the battery cable off about 3 weeks ago, and I started on this. Yeah, it's been, you know, a few hours here, a few hours there that I have worked on the car, and but definitely an improvement on the front seat. I mean, I wish this was a little firmer, but it's pretty darn good. Both would be, but you know, I mean, it's just a big old boat, so that's the way they were. Anyway, all right, so that is, seat belts are pretty much well done. Here we are on the passenger side, all buckled in. Yeah, I'm super happy. I'm glad I put seatbelts in, and I know it make my dad very happy. He was always kind of wanting me to put seatbelts in the car, as he said he didn't want anything to happen to me. There we go. Oh, and another reason why I put those, sorry, there's slack of light there, those brackets like that, I'm not getting underneath the floor pan every time I want to take the seat out. I don't know if I need to take the seat out again in the future. You can just undo these right here, and the bolts at the seat tracks. You don't have to get under the car, otherwise you got to jack it up, and it's really tight. The chassis is up in here, and the drive shaft goes through the center of it, and then the fuel and brake lines run along here and the chassis, so it's really hard to get in there. That is where the chassis is on this car, in the drive shaft tunnel, and the rocker panels are extra strong to make up for not having the chassis here. So welding that sheet metal from up there was no issue. Bolting this in is no issue. Had plenty of room. So yeah, they're not going anywhere. All the seat belts, super happy. All right, I'm going to end the video here. This is the final video on repadding the front seat and installing the seat belts in the 59 Chevy. This video is over 3 weeks all total. 2 other videos, part 1, part 2, and part 3. This is 3, obviously. And so, you know, if it's a little convoluted or whatever, sorry about that, because like I say, this video has been over a week anyway, and I just film as I do. So anyway, that's going to be it for this video. If you like what I did, like my video, hit the thumbs up icon. That helps me out. And if you want to continue seeing what I do on old cars and whatnot, or whatever I'm doing, you can hit that 348 engine icon. That'll subscribe you, and thank you for watching my video.